Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Well, we had our Easter play-along last night. It wasn't real well attended, unfortunately. I think there was 40 or 50 maybe. I can't remember exactly how many. But if you would ignore all the flaws I have and all the mistakes I make, it went okay, I think. We had a little disagreement on what we were supposed to be showing there. When somebody said yesterday in the vlog, I would like for you to talk about your mandolin chord more and show your mandolin chord more, or how you make your mandolin chord. I thought they were talking about the chord on the mandolin neck, because it was spelled C-H-O-R-D. But other people thought it was about the chord, which is the strap. I don't call that a chord, the mandolin strap that goes over my shoulder. I still don't know which one was right, but toward the end there several people said it was spelled C-H-O-R-D, which would indicate it was the actual fingering chords. It doesn't matter. We showed both of them, so either way, we covered both bases. I made this little clip, and then I almost decided not to show it to you. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you anyway. It's going to sound like I'm just complaining. I'm not really complaining. I think I'm pointing out how this world is. Here it is. Well, my friends, I'm going to show you another one of my pet peeves. Here is a, large can of, chocolate milk, Nestle's chocolate milk. And it says 27.7 ounces, 1.73 pounds. You can clearly see I just pulled this off. It's half empty. Why would you put it in such a huge can and it's half full? It's ridiculous. It's just a marketing gimmick, and everything has gone that way over the last 30 years or so. They've learned that they can make the packages bigger and make it look like there's a lot of stuff there. You're getting a lot for your money. This stuff's expensive, to be honest with you. It's very expensive, I think, especially considering you're getting a half a container full. But in your mind, you're getting this great big can full of stuff, and you're not. You're getting a half a can full of stuff. Other things have done that too. Like they used to put so many things in a package. Well, they've reduced the number of things in the package, and they've reduced it, and they, over time, slightly reduced the size of the package. Just things like that. It's just been a marketing ploy for the last 30, 40 years. Bottom line is, it's just sad. It's just really sad. Yeah, and I guess I tie that back into when we were talking about musical instruments and all the different things that were going on there. There was so much hype in music also. And one of my pet peeves on the hype was selling the humidifiers. They made it out like you were just some kind of criminal if you didn't buy a humidifier for your guitar. Well, to this day, I can promise you, I have never humidified an instrument, not one single time ever. And I've never had a problem. And the fact is, the wood is dried down excessively dry. And any wood dried that much is going to gain humidity in your house. Believe what you want. It's just a black and white fact. It's 100% true, what I'm telling you. And you don't need to humidify your instruments. Now, let me just back up the truck and say there's always some kind of an exception in the world somewhere. But it's pretty rare. I mean, especially in Missouri, it's pretty dang humid here. There's no reason to humidify an instrument. In fact, people think that they crack because they're dried out. And 99 times out of 100, they're cracking because they've swelled up and you've busted the finish. When that humidity comes in, it swells the wood up and it cracks the finish. If it shrinks, it doesn't crack the finish very much. If anything, it'll wrinkle the finish. And I have seen that on a rare occasion, but it's pretty rare. So anyway, I'm just talking about the marketing hype part of it is what I'm getting at. It's just, it's in everything. Marketing hype. So be aware of it and don't let it take you in. You know, I talked about brush piles and rabbit cover and things like that in a video recently. Well, here's a little short clip. There's a rabbit hiding right in there. You don't see very many rabbits on this farm. See, there he goes. They find that cover. See how much cover's here? This is an example, with this cover, is an example of where you'll find rabbits. They have to have cover to live because the hawks and the predators will get them otherwise. That's why I make brush piles every chance I get. Yeah, people, they work their property for their own eyes. Like, again, that Mike Morgan fella, I don't mean to pick on Mike Morgan. I like his videos. I like what he does and all that. But he manicures his woods just like most people manicure their yards. He doesn't leave any dead trees on the ground. He picks them all up and he puts them in the burn pile. And, it's, what can live in that? Not very much. I mean, yeah. And then his argument would be, well, I got deer and turkey. Well, you got deer and turkey. Do you have anything else? That's pretty much what you got. Deer and turkey can live in that for the most part, but even they benefit from cover. There's, like if you have a lot of trees down and stuff, you'll find deer laying in those down trees all the time. That's where they'll bed down because it's safer than it is to lay out in the open. So anyway, my point is, again, if you own property, don't feel bad about piling up brush. It's a good thing to do. Let's see. Here's a very short clip on my other favorite subject. Well, it appears that we're getting more martins pretty much every day. There's just a ton of them here today. Of course, whenever I start to film them, they all seem to disappear. And it's windy as it can be out here. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. They're just everywhere, flying in the air. Just literally everywhere. See, they're not really afraid. They land right back on the house while I'm here, as you can see. I think they try to pretend they're afraid. Yeah, there's a bunch of them little suckers, and boy, they are loud. For those people who are interested in getting purple martins, again, I would tell you that that's the one thing you might not be aware of. They're very loud. They make a lot of noise. So if you've got grumpy neighbors, maybe you don't want to have purple martins. Again, just 3 or 4 things that are real critical to get them, and that is have the nest needs to be up fairly high. Those gourds will attract them way before the houses will. The houses will attract more sparrows and starlings than they do martins. You have to have it out in an open area where they can fly into it. If there's trees within 30 yards of your pole, it's not a good thing. You want to have them further apart than that. Another good factor is to have water in the general area, either a creek or a river or something, or a creek, river, or a pond or something like that. But those are the main things if you want to get martins. And then you have to be diligent about cleaning them out and keeping the sparrows and starlings out. Even the gourds with those rectangular entrances, the sparrows are relentless. That not so much with the starlings, although if you put the round holes on the gourds, the starlings are relentless. As long as you got the rectangular holes, the starlings don't bother it too much, but the sparrows still do. Here is metal detecting reality. Well, my friends, it's Good Friday morning, and I couldn't think of a better place to spend the morning than right here. Got out here about 8 a.m. and it's about 10 now, so I've hunted for about 2 hours with the metal detector. Show you what I found. Some of this, well, this is trash that I dug, and some of this was dug over several days. Actually, it was just in the pouch. I unfortunately cut up a piece of deer antler with my brush hog, and this is just another piece of it that I found. I found most of the rest of it. Anyway, here's the better stuff I found today. You know, you're always hoping to find coins or jewelry or my old Civil War stuff, but the reality is you don't find much of that. The reality is you find the practical stuff. You find the mule shoe. This is an absolute mule shoe. Can you see the difference in shape? This is a horseshoe. This is a mule shoe. The mule shoes characteristically have a curve going back this way, and they're also usually narrower this way. These two things I did find a day or two ago. I don't know when, but they're just typical of the stuff you find, just large round stuff. I have no idea what that went to, but my guess would be the center hub of a disc or something like that. I don't know what it is. Found you know, lots of shotgun shell pieces. I like to look those up because they often have dates. This 30 caliber, roughly, I haven't checked the caliber, but I'm just guessing, about a 30 caliber rimfire, which is kind of unusual. So I was hoping to see some markings on this. I haven't cleaned it up yet, and maybe learn a little history about that. That might be something unique. I don't know. Here's a square nail, large square nail. Here's some porcelain that I found. I found this by the spring. Found this up just anywhere near here. I don't know exactly. Up on the hill a little bit, I think. This I did find up on the hill way up there. This is a porcelain jar lid, and it says Boyd's Genuine Porcelain Lined. But I think the unique thing about this, and I don't know if it's coming through, is there's that German symbol there, or at least what I connect to a German symbol. The Maltese cross, or whatever that cross is called. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I thought that was unique. I don't think I've ever seen one of these porcelain jar lids like that. This other piece was probably in the hole. I just got tired of searching for it and finally quit. This is, I don't know, third or fourth one of these I found. I'm sure I found several of these now. This big spike, it's not a railroad spike. It's, I think, probably used for rock quarrying, you know, busting rock of some sort. That's what I would think it's for, but then again, I could be wrong. It's also possible, and I mean, it's just possible that it's a harrow tooth. But boy, that's a tall harrow if it is. I mean, it's possible. This is a very old file. It's so old that all the stuff is flaked off the edges, and the dirt is really packed to it tightly. Very old. I found this right just at the edge of the water, right about there, just on the other side of where the spring comes in, just on the other side. So kind of weird. And this was deep. This was probably 10 inches deep in the ground. But anyway, that's the stuff I found this morning. This is the typical stuff you find with a lot of this stuff. I've gotten pretty good where I don't dig a lot of this stuff. You'll see a lot of YouTubers, metal detectorists, they'll have a whole pile of this stuff after just one search, you know. And I could be passing up some good stuff, that's for sure, because I don't dig everything. There's just way too much to dig out here. You'd be surprised. Up on this hill, especially just above those trees, it's just constant beeps. That must have been where the house was. And even out in these fields, when you put it on, all metal, it just beeps constantly. So I discriminate down and try to only dig either the very large iron signals like this, or the non-ferrous, which are these shells. And again, most of the non-ferrous are going to be shells. That's just the way it works out. But anyway, lots of crud. This brass, I've been throwing all the brass in a separate little jar, and hopefully eventually I'll melt all this down and pour a brass bar or something that I can use in my metal lathe. But that's just maybe. I don't know if I'll ever get around to that or not. But just wanted to let you see what you actually do dig here. Yeah, that's way more the norm than the other. It's neat to find that ring. It's neat to find the Civil War stuff. It's neat to find, just coins and things. But the reality is you don't find those very often. It's like, I got to thinking, I've found in that general area that you saw there in that picture, in that general area, I have now found 4 rings. It's just crazy that, I found quite a few coins too. When I say quite a few, I'm talking like a half dozen, coins. And then, of course, I found in that same general area, I found quite a few Civil War relics. But I haven't found a Civil War item that I could positively identify as Civil War for probably at least a year now. So kind of sad about that. That's what I'm really looking for. I'm wanting to find Civil War stuff. But it is what it is, You just go out there and you give it a try and see what happens. My shirt says, I mushroom hunt because I have no morals or morels. This shirt was given to me by, I can't think of his name. It was a fella down by Piedmont, Missouri, down that way, or down in that general area, Ironton, Missouri, down that way. He used to be a customer, came up here quite often. He was in bad health the last couple times I saw him, so I don't know if he's still living or not. He gave me this shirt 5 or so years, maybe 10 years ago. I've had it a while. But anyway, let's go to the comments. Let's see. Rod Wentler was the first one in there. It looks like Brian Byler was right in there. And then David Tharp says, howdy, everybody. Great play along last night, Jerry. Those songs you wrote could be put up against any song out there. Fantastic. Well, thank you. Ronald Todd, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Bank of New Jersey. Gino Hitch, hi, Jerry and friends. Beautiful day here in Monroe, Ohio. Hope your weather stays good for a while. Love the music last night. Well, thanks. I really do love the gospel music. I just think it's great. But I have to tell you, that's generally you get a smaller audience. I don't know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are just not into it. It's kind of sad. Let's see. David Tharp. At the circus, I bought an elephant made out of gas-filled balloons. It was too big to fit in the back seat, so I had to pop the trunk. It took me a second, but I got it. Okay, I had to pop the trunk. Okay. Let's see. Bill Rhodes. Good afternoon, Jerry. I'm really glad you got your dump truck going. Me too. In fact, I started it this morning and pulled it. I had some trashy limbs and tree parts and things in there, and I put all that over in our dump area. And then I put the truck back in the metal building because it's supposed to hail and rain and do all kinds of stuff yet today. It almost looks like it could rain out there now, but it's so far the weather's holding today. It's supposed to rain, though. This afternoon, I'll probably have to run into town and ship that package for Cometa Systems. as it turned out, I got it all ready to go, but he said I didn't have to worry about taking it in till the next time I was in town. He says, there's no rush on this thing. So, but I think I don't like to let them sit around, so I'll go ahead and take it in today, even though I don't really have any reason to go into town. And it's about an 18-mile one-way trip. The jam that we would normally have tonight at the Houston house has been canceled. So if there's anybody in the area that would have attended that, there would be no reason to, because they've canceled it because of the Good Friday. Apparently, some other people have other commitments on Good Friday, and they weren't going to be able to make it. So, let's see, David Tharp, I stopped by a roadside stand advertising lobster tails for $2. I love lobster, so I paid the $2. Then the attendant said, once upon a time there was this lobster. Lobster tails. Okay, I got it. Let's see. Steve Waldron, wishing a blessed Good Friday to all from Modesto, California. And back to you, Steve. And let's see. Bill Webb says, good afternoon. Bill Moma says, happy Easter there. No question marks. But anyway, he's got all the little icons. Scott Robert, Jerry, that yellow shirt you are wearing makes you look a lot thinner. Well, thank you. Glad you like it. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, where's the last time you bought a bag of potato chips? Yeah, when's the last time? Yeah, just basically buying a bag of air like someone's. I think I saw that down there. Somebody else said that. Yeah, it's in every aspect. It doesn't really matter what you're talking about. There's so much marketing hype. There's been so much studying done and psychology done on consumerism and buying this and buying that and making you feel guilty and all these different things. And all I say is just take a step back and don't let it get to you. Kind of like the making you feel bad because you didn't buy a humidifier for your guitar. I mean, it's just that kind of thing. Bill Mumbo, not complaining, explaining. They'll say it's settlement room shrink. Yeah, well, except in this thing, that's just a powder thing. And there's no room to settle in that. They just literally make it big can, make you think you're getting something. And then you open it up and it's completely half empty. I mean, literally half empty. It's so dumb. It's just ridiculous. Nice granite countertop. Ronald Todd says, well, yeah, I wish they were actually granite. They're not. There's a company in the Rolla area that specializes in making custom countertops with the look of stone, and those are the look of stone. They're not real. I wish they were. David Tharp, have you noticed how they scoop out the bar of soap? They used to be square and flat, but no more shrinkflation. Yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah, they make the centers inverted or indented or whatever you want to call it. Bill Mumbo, it's the same with chocolate. The squares are rounder as though someone has already sucked on them. Let's see. Preston Johnson, great Easter show last night. I totally agree about the hype for the marketing. Example, torrefied wood. Yeah, and that's another one. I'm not saying for sure because I don't know. I don't have enough experience with it. But I would suggest that it's a huge amount of marketing hype. That's what I would suggest. It's because you have to do that in order to get additional sales. That's what they're trying to do. So, they got to come up with something new, some new gimmick, some new thing that makes you want to buy it. So, because and they can make it up. They can say torrefied wood has a different ring than standard wood, or it has some unique property, and they'll just make it up. And whether it has it or not, who's going to know and who's going to prove it one way or the other, But it's a marketing hype to get you to buy it. And the same way with that machine that sets up instruments. Now, I'm not exactly saying it's all wrong and it's not true. I'm just saying there's a lot more hype around it than there is reality. That machine that supposedly sets up your instruments and makes them perfect, well, it probably does, but do you really need the darn thing? Not really. Can I set one up probably as good as that machine? Probably as good or possibly better, It's just marketing hype. That's all it is. Steve Mays, I saw yesterday's vlog later, but I was wondering if you could maybe make a bolt-on sleeve to put it back together so you won't have to cut it next time. Bolt-on sleeve on that drive shaft possibly is what you're talking about. I still haven't decided how I'm going to do it and whether I'm going to cut the drive shaft off or not. I know most people would not cut a drive shaft because they would be worried about the vibration. And the way I look at it, that thing's been driving with those U-joints completely wore out for about 1.5 years or 2 years already. How much vibration is going to be in that shaft if I cut it and weld it? I mean, it can't be as much as it's had for the last 2 years. So I'm not too worried about that. So I don't know. I may cut it. I may not. It just depends. Once I get into it and really see what I'm up against, when I start actually taking it apart, I'll go, well, this won't fit there and this won't fit there. Well, then I'll decide what I'm cutting and what I'm going to, bolt back on so I don't have to cut it again. But I agree with you. I'll definitely be looking at something there so I don't have to do the exact same thing again if I end up keeping it that long and if I'm still able to fix it. Steve Mays, it is amazing to me how the chip companies can charge so much for a bag of air. Yeah, that's the truth. Scott Roberts, speaking of rabbits, how do you catch a unique rabbit? Unique up on it. Yep, I've heard that one. Scott Roberts, Steve Mays, all that air has a purpose, actually. It's to keep the chip from getting all busted up in shipping. Yeah, I'm surprised they don't put packing peanuts inside your chips. Kim Williford, happy Good Friday, Jerry. He is risen. God is good. I'm praying for Dottie's grandson and everyone I know. Happy Easter to you and the family. Well, back to you, Kim. Thank you very much. Let's see. Moving on down. David Zarp says, my superpower is hanging on to a lot of stuff for years, only to throw it away a few days before I need it. That has happened to me so many times. I don't really feel like I'm a hoarder. I really don't think I am compared to, people that just keep random stuff. When I keep something, I usually have some vision that this is the kind of thing I can take apart and make something out of it or use it down the road and weld it up, So I'll keep that kind of stuff. If it's something I think I could use it down the road to repair something else or fix something else. But other than that, I don't keep much. But how many times have I thrown something away and I go, and then 2 days later, it's like, oh, if I would have just kept that, I could have welded this up and it'd be perfect, or I could have fixed this. That happens all the time with me. Let's see. Steve Mays, I got separated from my wife at the circus. When I found her, she asked, where did you go? I said, I was watching the picture show. She said, what picture show? I said, the tattooed lady was dancing. Mike Bennett. and then you suddenly felt this sharp pain in the back of your head, right? Mike Bennett, enjoyed the music last night. Well, thanks, Mike. Kim Willer, what vehicles are we talking about that has a bad drive shaft and tranny? I guess you didn't see the video yesterday, Kim. It was the vlog yesterday. It's my Ranger, Polaris Ranger. The U-joints are bad in it, and they've been rattling for a very long time. Well, now they're doing more than just rattling. they're really popping, man. It's bad now. I know it's going to break any day or go out any day, so I need to get, and I've got them on order. I got the parts on order. Plus, I got new yokes too on the ends on order. So I'm going to try to fix the whole thing and fix it right. We'll see if that works out. And the problem is they make everything so you can't take it apart yourself. It's the drive shaft is trapped up underneath all kinds of things, and it's just trapped on both ends and everything. And so the way you have to do it is you have to take either the front transmission out and the front bumper off and the grill off and all kinds of stuff, and you lift all that stuff up and you slide it out. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. Well, I'm not planning to do all of that. I'm planning to cut something off and just take it out through the bottom like it should be going. David Tharp, you catch a tame rabbit the tame way. Unique up on it. Okay, well, guys, I think that's going to be it. Thank you for being here. I hope you all have a blessed holiday this weekend or this Easter Sunday. And we will see you on Monday with something else. Thanks for being here.